The next thing we can do to help support our classroom is think about how to create more engaging examples to represent different concepts and to help explain things. Now, we might want to go through and create examples that engage the students in something they're interested in. That basically takes these ideas and thinks about how can we relate them to something they care about right here, right now, and help them maybe look at them a little deeper. We don't have to just take what's out of the textbook or what we prepared in the past, but on demand we can think about what are they interested in right now in this moment that's timely to help explain concepts. So now I'm going to give you a specific example of this. We just had the Women's World Cup soccer. So imagine your students are excited. They've been watching the soccer game. Can we turn this into some content, some examples that we could go through together? So I'm going to go into ChatGPT and I say, I have some fourth graders that are struggling with fractions. We've been watching the Women's World Cup soccer team compete in the World Cup. Help me create some examples to better explain concepts in fractions. We will start with simple examples and then get more complex when I tell you. Now I'm going to break this down. I'm doing a couple of things. One, I'm explaining who the audience is. I have some fourth graders that I'm trying to work on. It's always important to explain the audience to ChatGPT or whatever large language model you're using to explain what grade level, what are the things they know, what are the things they don't know. Give them a persona that they're going to teach to or explain to give the right level of explanation. Two, mix in the other thing, the other concept, the other sort of latest thing, if either be Pokemon or Prime, the sports drink, or the US Women's World Cup team, or if it's the Olympics, do the Olympics, whatever it is that they're excited about, bring that in. And then finally just say, help create some examples to better explain concepts and fractions. Now, sometimes what you'll need to say is directly represent the concepts with the other thing, like represent the concepts in the context of, women's soccer, or represent the concepts in the context of a Prime sports drink that's partially filled, or whatever it is you're working with. And then we say we will start with simple examples and then get more complex when I tell you. So the idea behind this is we might want it to generate over and over, and we need to give it a starting point. Now, I also could have given it more information about specific concepts I wanted to have it demonstrate, but I'm going to start with this. I'm pulling together a bunch of ideas, and I'm going to get it to generate examples. So here's what it gives me. Basic introduction to fractions. Imagine the U.S. women's soccer team played a total of 4 matches in the group stage of the World Cup. Now notice it's injecting its knowledge of the World Cup, which I may or may not know that it's called the group stage, but it's creating a more realistic example. Example, they won 3 out of 4 matches. This can be represented as the fraction 3/4. Here 3 represents the matches they won, and 4 represents the total they played. Comparing fractions. Scenario, the U.S. team and another team, let's say Brazil, played in the same group. U.S. won 3/4 or 75% of their matches, while Brazil won 2/4 or 50% of their matches. Question, who won more matches in terms of fractions? Answer, the U.S. team won more matches since 3/4 is greater than 2/4. And I'm sorry to all the Brazilian fans, but we know the U.S. Women's World Cup team is a fantastic team. So it's really good at going and sort of mixing concepts together and explaining examples. Now, I'm in control of this. I'm not going to just take it and say, here, go. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to think sort of deeply about how do I improve the examples? Like what else do we want? So in this case, I thought, it'd be more fun if the stories were more exciting. They seem kind of bland. And a lot of times that's what you're going to get is something bland. That's a good starting point, but it isn't enough. So I'm going to say this is helpful, but I need to start with some drama. Like I'm telling it what I want. I want more excitement. This is the World Cup. Let's build an exciting story around these examples. Also, let's start with more basic information about what a fraction is. Create a story that helps explain basic concepts. The story should have 2 to 3 examples of each very basic concept woven in. And so I'm going and I'm refining what it's doing. It's a good starting point, but I'm going to continue manipulating. Now we've got the Fraction World Cup Showdown. The stadium was abuzz with excitement. Every seat was taken, and there was a sea of fans wearing the colors of their favorite teams. This just wasn't any match, it was the World Cup Finals, and the U.S. women's soccer team was about to take on their biggest rivals. Concept, what is a fraction? As the players took their positions, a commentator began explaining the game strategy using a pie chart on a big screen. The pie chart was divided into several slices, each representing a part of the whole. He said, think of the pie chart as a soccer ball. If you cut the ball into 4 equal pieces and take one piece, you have 1/4 of the ball. And so it's starting to weave in. Now, maybe it's not the best, most exciting examples, but it's more exciting than before. And it has a number of different concepts and examples that it's gone and created. Now, one of the things sometimes you may say is, well, I'd like to weave in more visuals. And if you have a ChatGPT Plus subscription, you can go and have it start creating visuals to go with the examples as well. So for example, I say, you have a lot of visuals in these examples. Can you generate a PDF that I can print and hold up with some simple version of these? And I'm not going to show you what it produced yet, because it was okay, but it wasn't that exciting. So we have a pie chart of a soccer ball divided into 4 parts with 1 part shaded, right? Pretty classic, just a pie chart. We're going to explain flat fractions with that. That's not the most exciting thing, particularly because we have this whole World Cup story going. So I thought, I'd like to inject something more exciting. So I'm going to say, these images are a good starting point, but I want something more visually exciting. Let's go through these images one by one. I'm going to provide an image of a soccer ball, and you will overlay the graphics for the soccer ball on the right 1/3 of the image. So what I want to do is give it more visual pop, more excitement. And so I've gone and given it an image of a soccer ball from Unsplash. And then it's going to go through and it starts trying to do it, and it didn't work. Now, so this is something you're going to encounter over and over. So you're going to ask it to do something, and it won't quite work right. Don't give up. Ask it to use alternative approaches. Tell it that what it did wrong. You always need to give it feedback about whatever mistakes it's made, because it's going to make mistakes. And again, the goal of this should be a conversation, that through that conversation you create things that you can use that are helpful to you. And so if something doesn't work, give it feedback on why. So I'm just telling it didn't show up. It goes and then now tells me I can download and view the edited soccer ball image here. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's take a look. Now we've got ourselves a soccer ball image. We've now got the pie chart. We've got the 1/4. And now we have a more exciting visual image. This is now in a PDF that I can go and print out and do something with, which is super helpful. But I also think, well, I want other examples. I want 1/2, 3/4, and the rest, and it goes and generates those. So this is, you'll need ChatGPT Advanced Data Analysis to do this imagery part of it, or to generate PDFs whenever I'm talking about this. And it goes and generates all the different examples that I have using this imagery, using the examples I want. Now I could keep going and diving deeper into these to make them more exciting, to come up with other interesting capabilities. And that's the key to it. Use your knowledge. Customize the examples for one particular student. You've got a student who loves baseball, they play first base, give them first base baseball examples and generate them. And then take the next student and inject their things that they're interested in, and also the types of examples that they need. And so it gives us this way that we can go through and we can begin personalizing and creating all this content that would have been really tough to do another way by hand, and we can spend more time thinking about how to teach.